crazy is I went to the Durango probably like 2 weeks, and went up to valet, and I looked to the left. There was this white Lambo, and it was a white G-Wagon, and I see the logo.
Right.
And I was like, yo, that's sick.
Let me give you a trick.
Perfect marketing strategy.
Yeah, very intentional.
Perfect. And first thing came to my mind was like, this guy is a genius on marketing. He's parking at the valet where you enter, and he's got the 2 vehicles with his company. I'm like, love that.
Yeah.
I am Josh Galindo. I've built several successful businesses utilizing the one tool everybody has, the mind. I am here to guide, coach, and prepare you. We will debate, discuss, and grow our minds together so you can obtain your own success. Fuck average, be legendary. This is my podcast.
What's up, brother?
Nothing much.
How are you?
Feeling good, man.
Tell us who you are.
All right.
You're a very special guest because I've heard a lot about you, seen you everywhere, have heard people telling me who you are, because you kind of came out of, in my world, I always, this is my experience, kind of came out of, I was like, who is this guy? Now, why did I get that experience? Tell us who you are and why did I get that experience? Did you turn it up on the Insta and that's how I caught you? Because I heard you had a big YouTube game.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I just know that marketing is like one of the biggest things, especially in our industry now. And I guess my claim to fame was through social media marketing through YouTube, long format, and that's how I really got my started. But I've been selling real estate now for about, 13, 14 years now.
Okay.
But I didn't really start the social media since like 2018, 2019.
Okay.
And this is when nobody was doing YouTube videos. And I'm going to tell you this story. It's crazy.
Tell us, it's Chakits?
Chakits. Like
chuck
you're going to chuck it.
Okay, chuck it.
Chakits with an S at the end.
And how do you spell that?
Chakits. But when you read it, it's basically pronounced Chakits. But when you pronounce it, it's really Chakits with a U. So.
All right.
But in 2018, towards the end, I think it was like November, December, I was going out to Hawaii. And I was like, you know what? Let me just do a couple video home tours, and let me just kind of beta test it. So I just kind of walked around this one property. And I didn't know anything about the property because the sales guy wasn't even there. So I just toured this one property. And I believe it was American West at that time, and it was called the Madison Model, which is a 3-story.
Out in Hawaii?
No, out here.
Oh, okay.
So this is before I was going to go out to Hawaii.
Got it.
So I launched it, and I literally got a call. And I was like, whoa, hold on. Can I swear in this thing?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yo, this shit actually works, right? So I told my wife after the 3rd day, I was like, yo, I got to get back. I think I'm on to something. So we came back after like 2 weeks. I started banging out a bunch of videos. Then I realized I started getting a bunch of calls, and I was like, you know what? This is the way that we need to go. But I was kind of like all over the board. When you figure something out as far as like marketing in this industry, you kind of got to thumb your way through it.
Of course.
And you work out the kinks as you go along. And,
yes, absolutely.
After 1, 2, 3 videos, then we just started closing deals. But it took a while to get to where I'm at right now,
We had a little technical difficulty. We'll just own it. The screen turned off. It's back on. You were saying that you found success after posting that first American West video. You said you got about first call immediately and then had about 3 after that.
Yeah, I think
and then talk to the wife, I think is where you...
Yeah, so this is where actually I was speaking to the wife. I was like, look, I'm hyped. I'm ready to get back home.
Yeah.
And typically, I don't know what it is. Every time I go on vacation, our vacations are about 2 weeks to 21 days, right?
Nice.
But
well done.
I don't know what it is, but about the 4th to the 7th day, I'm done.
Sure.
Like, I'm already reset, and I'm always talking about going back. My wife's always complaining, like, dude, we're on vacation. Like, why are you talking about this? It's just something I love to do. Like, I'm going to say that I love money, and I understand that money is a tool.
Absolutely.
And it's just like one of those things, like, once you're hooked on it, you have this drive and passion. I don't know what it is. It's
once
like,
you learn how to make it.
Yes, and it's so weird. It's like, I do this literally like every single day to the point where it just becomes discipline, and it's like, this is all I do. And if I step away for a little bit, I'm like, dude, I want to get back into it. I don't know what it is about it, but I guess I'm just built that way. I don't know.
I think we're a breed. I don't think you can train someone to have that in them.
And I literally have like a guilty conscience. Like, okay, if I go play golf with my friends, which is I'll do every once in a while, and I'm saying every once in a while, and the game takes about 4 hours.
That's
And I'm like, dude.
Who has 4 hours, bro?
It's
an hour before and an hour of talking after.
And I have like this guilty conscience, like, dude, I feel like I'm wasting fucking time.
Yeah.
Because that's all we have against each other is just time.
Yeah.
You may have more money, but at the end of the day, it's all about time and what you do at the time.
Sure.
And you try to bring that time back by the amount of money that you can accumulate.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, money is a tool. And once you have the money, you can really leverage out your time. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I always tell people that have no money, they
Yeah.
should have an abundance of time.
Yeah.
That means that they should be investing all of their time. And then once you start to build your bankroll, you can start exchanging money.
Yeah.
You start to lose your time, but now you can buy it back with money.
Now, one thing I've noticed is like I've accumulated all this money because, you know, I've been working in this business, but I wanted to bring back some of that time. So I brought on some people on the board
Sure.
to help me out. But the problem was that I started losing money, but I got most of my time back.
And then it's about fine-tuning it, right?
And now you start to fine-tune it to the point where, okay, how do I build systems in place to make that same amount of money again? So you constantly kind of go back and forth with it. Some things work and some things don't, you know what I mean? But you're always constantly taking your money, reinvesting, playing the game. If you get a certain percentage of return, okay, this makes sense at 18%. In this marketing material, okay, I'm going to move on to this different marketing material. I may make 24%, but it's taking up too much of my time. I might as well just take that money and dump it back into the 18%. So that's how I kind of like play the game.
I think you made a really great point there that is a nugget for the listeners, is that a lot of people will just continue to use their own time because they are hooked on the amount of money that they're making.
Yeah.
Fair. We both have clearly been there. But in order to make that leap, you have to know that there will be a moment where you're going to have to fine-tune that. You're going to go, fuck, I brought this person on and they're not paying for themselves. Or they're paying for themselves but not making me more.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the journey.
Yeah.
I think that's what you just described. And then you fine-tune that and you just keep messing with it. What I remember what I've learned is now I'm so... I call it practicing. Everything's a practice because I'm not perfect at anything, but I'm getting better at all of it. Every time I bring somebody on, I either match their cost with additional income or I make more. And I remember in the beginning, it was like, no, I'll just do it all. Dude, I was installing my own signs.
You want to know something? That's the hardest part to transition over to because, like you said, you're making a certain dollar amount. But then what happens is you're so good at what you do that it's hard to get somebody to implement what you do.
What's your take on that? Are you? Because I mean, I see a lot of similarities in the two of us. Your presentation's clean. You know, you got a lot of the same stuff. And I guess what I'm saying is, I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
I have a lot of perfection. A lot of you got to do it the right way, the way I showed you. And I've had a real hard time, which I'm kind of at the end of this journey, of accepting 80% of me and somebody else. Now, what is your take? Are you, I want 100% or you're out?
No.
Or are you, and if you are in that space, are you accepting of it?
So I'm not accepting of it.
Because 80% of Chakits is better than one.
That is true. But the way I look at it is the people that I bring on board, I have certain systems in place, which is you'll have to follow, okay? However, I don't care how you do it, as long as it gets done. So we may have an end goal. This is what I'm expecting. But at the end of the day, I don't care how you do it. Just get me to where I need to be.
Sure.
It may work for them, but it may not work for me. But I don't care because it's still getting done. So that's the way I look at it. But it was kind of hard to transition into that because I'm like very controlling. Like I'm very dialed in. Like I want it like this. These are the steps. But I also had to realize that my steps may not work. It works for me, but it doesn't work for that personality.
Interesting.
So that's what I really look at.
Give me some figures so the people that are new to you, which shouldn't be a lot, because you're relevant. How many YouTube subscribers?
I think we're about to hit 250,000, but we had over about 1 billion views now.
Holy shit! Is that the metric that is better talked about?
Not
I mean, there's nothing wrong with 250,000 subscribers. That's unbelievable.
For me, I don't care about the subscribers.
Okay.
Honestly, because
you're educating me here actually in that question.
Yeah, the subscribers don't get me paid. What gets me paid, right?
The views.
Is not even the views. You got to look at what's behind that. Well, what's behind that is the people that are calling me.
Okay.
So last year we closed 150 52 transactions. 95% of them are all through YouTube.
That's insane.
Yes,
I didn't realize you had that kind of production.
Yes, we did over
152.
Yes, we did over 100 million in transactions.
My God.
Like, we make well over 7 figures. Like,
congratulations.
But obviously with the views, right? We make about 6 figures just through YouTube alone. But
really?
That's just extra money. Like, I don't count
Do you just pump that back into the system?
Whatever's. I don't care about that. What I care about is providing the content, but they extract the contact information as far as email, telephone numbers, and the lead source.
Got it.
Because this is the best lead source you can get when somebody calls you and says, hey, I've been watching you now for a year. I love your content. You're a straight up kind of guy. I want to work with you.
Yeah.
The conversion rate is a lot easier.
Sure. It's a warm lead now. And they like
It's
you.
not even a warm lead. It's a hot lead.
It's a hot,
We've already built that relationship.
Yeah. You don't have to sell yourself.
And it's so funny how they will contact me, like how they know me, and I have no clue who that person is.
Sure.
And I start to kind of feel uncomfortable because I don't know that person, and I'm trying to build some sort of dialogue. And I get this all the time, walking around like Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you're that guy on YouTube.
Yep, I have.
And they're literally talking to me like they know me.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there, hey, I need to build some sort of, rapport with this person, but I'm trying to drop some sort of conversation.
You haven't perfected your line where you're like, hey, brother, what's up?
No, I have, but sometimes the conversation will go dry after like 10 minutes.
Oh, sure. If you're having a full convo, yeah.
Exactly. So you're kind of, trying to build that relationship, right? But it's just hard when I don't know that person and that person knows me to detail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, those are the best leads, man.
That's awesome. So that's incredible. How many people are in your team?
Okay,
so
you
can't do 150 alone.
No, there's no way, dude.
Yeah.
So this is how I operate. So all the leads will come into me, like all the hot leads, but obviously we have internet leads where we generate anywhere from 200 to 500 leads a month.
That's incredible.
So they take those inbounds. So whatever they close, we get a certain percentage. But what happens is I probably get about...
Those are through the website?
Through the website.
And is that pay-per-click? Is that...
Some of it's through pay-per-clicks, and some of them are direct links through social media. Because if you take a look at my channel or whatever I'm selling or helping out or doing the educational part, you always have to have some sort of call to action, right? Even though you have a lower third with the website, links in the description. So we always have that. So people end up watching it so many times and they realize maybe now's the time to buy a home. Let's send this guy an email or let's go to the website. So that's how we capture it.
Okay.
Because that's where it all starts. Because at the end of the day, when people are like, hey, are you a real estate agent? I'm like, nah, not technically. I would like to consider myself more of an entrepreneur or business person, but specializes in marketing and sales. So that's how I kind of think about this. Like, I don't want to just be some regular realtor or real estate agent. That's not who I am.
It's not who you are at all.
No.
It'd be a disjustice to call yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So I just feel like I'm here to help and educate you. And if you want to do business, let me help you. Because that's where it starts, really just helping people. And people can actually see it like literally through camera, like this guy's real or not.
Of course.
Because if you see some of these tours I do, I don't want to say I'm talking shit, but I'm telling you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the truth may hurt. And I always tell clients this, like, look, you may not like what I have to say, but I will always tell you the truth. But it is what it is. And there's times where I work with $2 million buyers and we're just not clicking. I got to call them up and like, hey, I can't work with you. And that's the best because when you're like, hey, I'm firing you, they come back and say, hey,
what do I got to do
what
to
I gotta
adjust
do?
my behavior?
Exactly. It's a weird situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that literally happens all the time. So.
Well, what a powerful place to be, because that means you have leverage. That means you've taken back control of your business, and that's where I have found so much power by being a house flipper because I don't depend on anybody on the outside, and it's the most freeing feeling. And I sympathize for these agents that haven't found their way to be able to be in that position to be able to say, you know what, I just don't think we're a fit. I'm not hung up on the commission. I can move on from it because I got 10 more of you behind you.
Well, I think what it is, and I was like that when I first started.
I think everybody is.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm acknowledging that you're there now.
Where, when you're an agent that's just getting started, you don't have any money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So you're literally just trying to like collect as many as possible, right? And you're willing to do whatever it takes.
Yep.
I was there, and
Absolutely.
you should be.
And you should be.
And do it.
Yeah.
Until you build your bankroll so high where now you're like, okay, this is starting to make sense. I'm starting to getting very comfortable with myself. I understand the market. I'm very good at what I do, and it comes with confidence. And confidence comes with time.
Yep.
And every single real estate transaction, believe it or not, the fundamentals are there, but it's never the same.
Never.
You always run into some sort of problems, but you should be good enough to get the answers that that person needs or what we need to do to resolve that problem.
Yeah.
And I've always been like that. Like I've had mentors throughout the whole year, years of my career. And one of the things that I got taught and I learned was that, you should really be the guy that controls the deal.
100%.
And what I mean by that is when you tell me no, okay, why can't we do this deal from a lender standpoint? Okay, what needs to be done? That lender or that agent may not want to do the work. I will pick up the ball and I will go find the answers and I'll go figure out what needs to be done.
Yeah.
If I got to pick up a phone to go call an attorney, hey, how do I source this deal or
Yeah.
how's this work? Tell me, I'll go do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not taking a deal to the 8th hour and not closing the deal.
No.
Like, no, we wasted all this time.
No, you crack that egg open
Yeah.
and start pulling the pieces out. You know what the underlying thing is there you just did is it's question asking.
Yeah.
So many people they lack confidence,
Mhm.
so they're not inquisitive. And when you lack confidence, you take the word of others.
Yeah.
So, hey, why isn't this deal closing? Because of this. Okay, thanks. You would never.
Yeah.
Well, because of that, okay, what can I do? Which person in this on your side of the operations not responding, not giving them what they need?
Yeah.
What's that person's name? Can I get their phone number? Call that guy. Who's holding you up? Okay, I'll call that guy until that problem's solved versus just taking the no. I don't believe in taking any no's. I actually don't take no's ever in my life. And it's always a win-win in how I get my yes.
Yeah.
But it's just behind the question. I'm going to give you a quick story. Sorry to revert it back to me.
No.
We go to Poppy Steak
Okay.
to spoil the Glinda Media guys, Luis and I. And, there's 4 tables in the premium spot of the restaurant. They shove us in the back. I'm like, I'm not fucking sitting in the back and spending $2,000 to fucking eat there.
Yeah.
And so I walk over to the front, do my thing, come back, and the whole table's set up in the middle. And they're all looking at me, how did you do that? I'm like, I asked them what they needed. I said, why aren't you giving us this table? Well, we have a reservation at 8:30 and yours is at 7. I go, you have my unconditional commitment. I will be done. I'm here to get a fucking social media picture of your stupid steak and I'm leaving. I go, I'll be out of here by that time. They go, you sure? I go, absolutely. And I gave the guy $40 and he moved us.
Was the steak good?
I got to be honest. It was good, I guess, is the answer. It wasn't bad. It didn't stick out to me. I'm not a foodie. Are you a foodie?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I don't care about food.
I don't really care about the 5-star wining and dining. I'm not very good at that.
Do you enjoy the experience?
No, not at all.
Okay, interesting. I enjoy the experience. I don't care about the food.
Yeah, so for me, quick story. When we went to Hawaii, we ate at this 5-star dining. And we had a nice beach view, table and all that. Me and my wife is sitting there. And the waiter comes by, 2 minutes comes by again. And it was like every 3 minutes. And the chef comes out.
You're like, motherfucker.
Chef comes out and he's explaining the food. And I looked at the chef and I go, no disrespect. I don't really care about the food. The food is great. However, I just want to hang out with my wife and have a conversation. We like to eat and just go. He looked at me and was like, are you serious? I'm like, yes, I'm serious. I'm sorry. No disrespect. And he just left us alone.
You're a different breed.
Yeah, it's just like...
Because some people eat into that.
Yeah, some people love that fine dining. That's just not for me. Like, if the food is good, I'm going to say it's good. We just like to eat and go. And we just like to focus on each other and just have a conversation. Not be interrupted every, 5 minutes. Then you got to sit there and say, oh, thank you very much.
Sure.
I appreciate that.
And appease them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get
But I
it.
I understand why they are doing it.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what happens when, you kind of broke like me,
Get out of here.
Going into a 5-star restaurant.
Nah. No, I my favorite thing is rolling into those places and just owning who I am.
Yeah.
My backpack, my $29 Amazon high tops, some Amazon joggers.
Isn't that the best?
And you know what? I wear whatever I want. I think
You know what? That's how I am.
But it's all about the watch.
That's all you do.
Because I would never question a thing about you.
Yeah.
If you could have rolled in with whatever you wanted, and I'd see that watch, and I'd go, okay. But here's the thing, too. Because people would go, well, that's bullshit. If the person recognizes the watch, then it mattered. And if they don't recognize the watch, then it didn't matter.
Yeah, we talked about that because that's probably an offshore
Yes.
rose gold ceramic bezel, right, with the strap. That's an 18-karat gold, and that's probably what, a 42, 43 millimeter?
44.
44.
Yeah.
And that's probably like a $48,000 watch.
It was at one point.
You know what that tells me is that when you have a timepiece like that, the question is, how did that guy get that timepiece?
Yeah.
Okay. Number one, it's probably he took his time and utilized it wisely. That's what that tells me. the more expensive the watch is, I can already tell how much money you're making.
Totally.
That's a very expensive watch. It's not a very easy watch to get. Because, I'm on the list with the AP. They've sent me some, some watches, but nothing that I want. But they're like, hey, you got to buy this whole catalog of watches to get the one you want.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, that's not for me.
Right. No.
That is a nice watch, though.
Thank you. I love yours. You know what was funny? How much is that one?
I think this one was 38 or 42. I don't remember.
So this watch, when I looked it up, was 34,000.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure there's prices everywhere in line with what you said. My guy in Texas, Watch 101, I bought a handful of watches from him. Gave it to me for 25, no box and papers.
Yeah.
So that's the truth behind this watch. I'll be honest, I was trying to duplicate the look of that watch, but I couldn't
really?
bite the bullet of spending the money on it. So I went and found the next cheapest thing. Because look, I'm wearing it. I wanted that watch. But I just can't get there.
What are you talking about?
I'm struggling. The most expensive watch I bought was 30,000. This was actually cheaper than that, and I just can't get past the 30.
You can afford it.
Yeah, I could swing it.
So I guess the question is, your next watch. What watch do you want to get?
Well, I gotta let this one set in because I was really eyeing I like the rubber straps because it drives me nuts to scratch the shit out of my bands all the time.
Oh,
the metal
trust me,
bands.
I'm always like babying it.
Yeah, but the rubber you can get a little tougher on them.
Yeah.
And so I like that. So I really just accomplished all of my watch goals because I just bought this a month ago.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. And so I don't know what's on the next.
Do you just roll up to a store and say, "Hey, I like this one. This is my next one"?
I see somebody. Like if I didn't own this, I'd probably own that watch.
Mm-hmm.
By seeing you wearing it, would have pushed me to go. Yeah, it fucking looks really good. So I usually see other people rocking watches that I like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I'm this way with a lot of things, with cars, with watches. Other than real estate. Real estate, I have a very good understanding of every aspect of it. As far as luxury goods, if I think the watch looks cool, I don't know what the name of it is. I don't know how many carats it is. I don't know anything other than I like the way it looks, and that's why I bought it.
And I think that's the most important thing because you have a lot of watch flippers out there. They'll buy a watch. Next thing you know, the market is so volatile right now, they end up taking a loss. This watch is very expensive. However, I bought it because I want it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah.
But these are calculated moves for me. So what I do is I don't just go out and buy a watch. Now, I've done that before with the Batman I got, but that's just more of, hey, I bought it for 12 grand. I know it's worth 18. I could flip it any day.
Yeah.
So, that's just something to collect. But, my other 3 watches, these are watches where I set goals for myself, right? So one of the goals is, hey, when I make my first million, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get an allocation for a watch. When I make my second, this is when I'm going to do this. So I kind of set those goals for myself.
You know what's interesting? My watch game is rooted in if something bad has happened in my life. Yeah, I always get that response. And it started with my very first lawsuit, of which I won. But I was like, the answer was going to come out the next day. What the hell is the term? The answer. It's a poor term. Of who won. The arbitrator was going to decide. And I was like, you know what? If I fucking take it on the chin for the 40 grand I was chasing, I'm getting something for it. And this is back when you could buy a Daytona I bought it for 12 grand.
Oh, wow.
Stainless steel white face Daytona for 12,000. It was in 2017. But, and I ended up winning. But my thought was, if I'm going to take it on the chin for 40, I want to be able to look at something and feel a little better about that loss.
Yeah.
And then when the interest rate shot up, I lost $63,000 on a house. And I was in California with my family, learning that I don't like to vacation for a long time. And an offer came in. I had to make the call to lose that amount of money. And I immediately went to my guy's site and I bought a Rolly.
Now, did you really take a loss? And here's why. Because if you look at your whole portfolio, and I think this is where a lot of people make the mistakes. They'll take one loss, but realize you've already done 10 flips. You didn't take a loss. You got to look at your whole portfolio for the year, right?
Yeah. And although there's so much, it's very similar to like a retail transaction. If you take that thing all the way to the finish line, you feel like, man, I really would feel better about walking away with earned income, justified earned income versus like letting it blow up. Now, you got to take that experience and turn it into a flip, which is I had to acquire the property. I had to fund the property. I had to make payments on the property while I owned it. I had to design the property. Then I had to implement the design. Then I had to manage the renovation. Then I had to list it. Then I had to work my way all the way through all of the sales side of the deal. And at that point, I've almost made it a religion, but it's softened. There was a time when I did not believe in losing on any house that I did. But as I watched more of the volume flippers, and when you see me, I could qualify as a volume flipper, but there's guys that are doing, 400 homes a year. Better Homes and Assets, 220 homes this year. I'm going to do 65. Like, I'm not even close. Those guys turn and burn. Wedgwood, Maxim, those guys, they'll do 2,500 homes. Do you think that they're obsessing over winning on each one? So I had to adopt some of that. Yeah. And then I've found that it served me better because the ones that I thought we weren't going to make a bunch of money on, we make 3 times the amount of money on it. Yeah. And the one I was like, this is a done deal, slam dunk, guaranteed. We end up making less money on it. But if I wouldn't have bought the one that I didn't feel good about, I wouldn't have made that kind of money. So this game, in the last year and a half, I've learned never stop buying. Just keep buying. Because when the interest rates shot up, I clammed up. I didn't know how bad it was going to get. I didn't know if they were going to go to 10% and the market was going to stop. So I brought all my money back. Well, then to start that machine back up, dude, last year, I started buying again in January, the end of December, beginning of January. I didn't make any money until like April.
When you retract, obviously...
It was the worst decision I ever made.
Scarcity, because, a little fear in the marketplace, and I understand because it's very volatile, especially in the economy. Now, when you start to retract, okay, where do you start to retract at as far as,
So what I was conscious of is, thankfully I have multiple businesses that I can always touch. Yeah. Excuse me. I can always touch. And so I looked at them. I said, okay, my rental business is perfect. I can always grow with that because as interest rates go up, prices come down or at least soften. I can build on that. So that was an easy no-brainer. Flipping business is incredibly capital intensive. If I have $2 million out in cash, that means I have $8 million in loans. Yeah. That's what people forget about. It's so easy to go, I got $2 million. But that $8 million, if I default on that, they're coming for it. Yeah. So I'm really out $10 million. Yeah. I'm a believer that I don't care where you get your money. If you have to borrow it or you pay cash, it's your fucking money. You know what I'm saying? I have to pay it back. Don't count my money. Anyway, is always my term. So I had $10 million out, and it's capital intensive. So to risk that if the market adjusts 10%, it's $1 million swing. So for me pulling that, anyway, so it's a capital intensive business. So I said, what can I use that capital for that I can get a higher return on my investment? And that was when I pointed my gun back to retail, Galindo Group Real Estate. I was like, you know what? I've kind of just built this thing based on like passive effort. Like, it's kind of a byproduct of my flipping business. Yeah. Agents love our culture, so they come and hang out, and then they leave, then they come back, close a few deals. It wasn't intentional. It was just a byproduct. So I said, I'm going intentional with Galindo Group Real Estate. So I committed $300,000 over time to building Galindo Group Real Estate from 65 agents. My first goal was 90, then it was 100, then it was 120, then it was 150, now we're at almost 170. And we'll probably tap out around 175 to 180. I don't want more than that. And then I'm going to make them all killers. But so I took that capital, $300,000 versus $10 million, and built that business until I felt the flipping business was safe again, and then I started injecting capital back into that business. So thankfully I had something else to chew on. Otherwise, I might have clammed up. So actually I want to make another point. Marketing, which I know you're a fucking expert at. I knew while everybody was pulling back, if you go and watch when I went like this with my maybe personal brand, it was when everybody was clamming. Yeah. I was sitting in my jacuzzi in January of 2023. Horrible 8.5% interest rates. And I had all my money back because I was able to I had 24 homes when the rates went like this. And I fucking ripped the cover off that machine and
liquidate.
Yeah, I said, everybody get out of the way. I know how to drive best. I'm driving. Yeah, I had my team working on it, but nobody has what I have when it comes to your own money. Same with you. Things get weird. You're like, okay, I know that I've had you here, but we're going to move you to the side for a minute and I'm going to drive the car. So I had all my money back and everybody was clamming up. And I was like, now's the time to go buy a Lambo.
Yeah.
I was like, if I buy $1 million, I text my buddy, if I buy $1 million worth of cars, imagine what that's going to say to the market. They're going to go, what the fuck? I'm losing my ass, and Josh just bought $1 million in cars. So Lambo, G-Wagon, Sprinter, and McLaren was a little bit later on. But anyway, and then I started buying billboards. So I pushed forward is my answer to your question, very long-winded answer, when I retracted, but only in the marketing and branding because I took market share.
And I think that's very important, especially in today's market. No matter what you're selling, if you're not on social media, you're going to be dead out of the water.
Yeah.
And now everybody's fighting for the same stuff. So now the question is, how do you step out from the crowd and being seen?
Yeah.
Right? That's the hard part.
What do you do to do that?
So basically for me, it's discipline. I'm constantly posting, but also the posts that I post are targeted towards buyers or sellers. So I'm just doing mostly educational stuff. The good news is this. You got over 7 billion people on planet Earth. I'm not trying to get every single buyer. I'm just trying to get people that like me and that want to do business with me. I'm in my own lane. I've got my own world, my own circle. If our circles meet up, we do business. If not, hey, I'm moving on. I'm creating my own destiny. This is my own life. I don't play your race or I'm playing somebody else's race.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about how much money you're making. I don't care about what you do. If we're not clashing where like it merges, where it makes sense for the both of us, you know, we may disagree. We may not be friends. Hey, I'm moving on. Like sometimes you just got to cut these people and just keep going.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way I roll.
You know, something I learned from my mom, she said the people that got you there are not necessarily the same people that are going to get you to where you want to go.
You're absolutely right. Like I mentioned before, I had like multiple mentors. You know, I've got mentored by one person. I've got really good at what I was doing. I was able to implement that. Then sometimes you just outgrow people and you just move on.
Yeah.
And you constantly have to do that to be a better person.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, you know, I have my friends, you know, they're still smoking weed, doing all this, and they're like, oh man, you don't even hang out anymore. Like, we're not connecting. We don't have the same likes.
Yeah.
Like, I like to talk about business. I like to talk about money. Like, they don't have those same interests. And it's okay to grow, but we're still friends.
Yeah.
But if you're like, hey, let's go hang out, like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And it's not because I don't like you. It's just we don't have the same interests.
Right.
And it's just like, I'm here today because you're the guy that likes to make money. I like to make money.
Yeah.
And we could talk about business all day long.
Yeah.
Like, I could spend 12 hours
we
this
could
podcast
do it. Yeah.
all day long.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, you're spot on with that because I've had to slowly let people, and I wish there was a better term for it, move on from these people. And I remember you'll get feedback from, hey, I don't see you hanging out with this person as much anymore. What happened? I'm like, nothing. I love the guy. I do. But we don't have any interests that align. You know, I got 4 kids that have 10 soccer games on Saturday and Sunday. I got practice 3 days a week. I got my business going on. I don't have time to go to EDC and hang out with him and tip the waitress $20 to get a free bottle.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have that anymore. You know, but do I still like the guy? Yeah, I do. I had no issues, but I don't have the time.
I was going to ask you this. With your flip, what was the biggest home run you had?
I have a great story behind that. It was interest rates were low. It's not going to blow your socks off because guys have had bigger ones, but I'm not a luxury flipper. You have to remember that.
Yeah.
And I never left my lane. I don't believe in ever leaving my lane in any of my businesses. I either create my own lane or the lane that's working for me, I stay in it.
Yeah.
Meaning I don't jump over to somebody else's lane and copy them.
Yeah.
My business has worked well with me. I've made all of my money, in a nutshell, $20,000 at a time. That's generally what I shoot for on a flip, 20 grand at a time. And but so Sun City, Summerlin, Palm Valley, single story, 3-car, pool, views, black eye house in the back that just went like this, and then there was strip view and city view. But when you walked out, it was like this.
Yeah.
I knew the problem immediately because the slider focused on that house. So I knew to close that up and create a window there instead of an access point and turn the slider so that when you walk outside, the first thing you see is the strip.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of other techniques that I did to emphasize the views. Basically, I sold that house. I think I built it at like $1,050,000, listed it for $1,250,000 because the market had exploded on my watch. So I can't take all the credit for it. That was when post-COVID was going ballistic. And I made $365,000 on it.
Wow, nice.
And I took that money and I bought so I was obsessing over this, talk about manifestation. We have a little place in Bryan Head. It was a little condo. And then every year for 4th of July, Bryan Head Mountain will do fireworks. They'll go up the mountain, light these flares, come down. You just see this red stream coming down the mountain because it's dark. And then when they hit the bottom of the mountain erupts in fireworks.
Oh, wow.
So we always watched that as a family with my buddy. We would back 2 pickup trucks in, bring fire pits, and sit in the back of these pickup trucks and sit on the edge of a cliff to see it. Well, of course, being a visionary and a manifester, I'm looking around going, I can do better than this. And I see this cabin over here, and I see this cabin over here, all on this cliff that are probably sitting on their balconies or on their couches watching this experience. So I said, I walked up behind my wife. We're both wearing Snuggies. It's -3 degrees. And I stick my hands inside of her Snuggie. And I said to her, next year we'll be sitting on a balcony watching the fireworks. We will never do this again. And I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, you spend $1 million, 4% interest rates at the time, payment $60,000 a year, you Airbnb it for 30 grand out of that. Yeah. You know, I'm into this thing for $2,500 a month. I can swing. If I can't make 30 grand, I got bigger problems. So I'm doing the whole math before I make that commitment. And I sell fucking Palm Valley. And this cabin I had liked was under contract and had fallen out right as Palm Valley had closed.
Oh, wow.
The seller was weak because they just fell out. And I swooped in and got a 3.8% interest rate on that cabin.
And you still got it till today.
And I still have it. And I Airbnb it, and we, crush it on the Airbnb.
That's
and
amazing.
I'm going up there next Wednesday for 3 weeks.
So what's the situation with the cars? So why do you have all these luxury cars?
So I've always been a car freak. I'm a move my body with wheels freak.
Okay.
Okay. I'm dying to do this video. Okay. The Sprinter.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta visualize it in my head. The Sprinter, the G-Wagon squared, probably the Lambo, then the McLaren, then the Model X Tesla for the family, then my work van, then my golf cart, then my Can-Am, then my Benchy, which is my smaller Can-Am, then my super high-powered scooter, and then I have like 5 little baby scooters for my kids.
Oh, that's dope.
Like, I love shit that has wheels. I don't know. That's why I say I don't understand what makes them go. But I also understand the branding power. I'm not oblivious to that. But in my core, what actually tickles my feather is I love things that move. Yeah. I don't know what it is. You could show me a little 50, and I'd be like, can I ride it? I'd love to go ride it.
You know what's crazy is I went to the Durango probably like 2 weeks, and went up to Valet, and I looked to the left. There was this white Lambo, and it was a white G-Wagon, and I see the logo.
Right.
And I was like, yo, that's sick.
Let me give you a trick.
Perfect marketing strategy.
Yeah, very intentional.
Perfect. And first thing came to my mind was like, this guy is a genius on marketing. He's parking at the Valet where you enter, and he's got the 2 vehicles with his company. I'm like, love that.
Yeah.
I was going to send a picture, but I didn't want to be like one of those fucking fanboys, you know what I'm saying? I was like, nah, I'll just wait till we have a conversation.
What's the term?
But it worked, though.
Respect, game recognizes game.
Exactly.
Most people, let me give you the alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that didn't have your lens, your skilled lens of marketing, would have walked out there and said, look at this fucking prick.
Mm-hmm.
Who's this fucking guy think he is?
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's just a hater that has no clue.
Those are hater normal folk.
Yeah.
You know how many people, and I'm sure you get it.
Mm-hmm.
What's the full name? Chakits
Krulsawat.
But your
Chakits Krulsawat group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is your name on it?
I don't know.
I'm not asking you. That's the average.
Oh.
Why'd you put your name on everything?
Because
it's
that's
like, bro,
who I am, motherfucker.
If you're asking that question, we're so far apart that it's not even worth my time to answer it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you're right. Most people walk out and go, "What? Look at this asshole."
Yeah.
You know, but people that can understand it know that was 100% intentional. You got to think how much intention went behind that, honey. We're going
drive
down
the car.
Right, we got to drive
cars.
2 cars to Durango Station. Yeah. You know, valet, pay twice the tip to get them in there. Ask the guy to make sure they're next to each other. Make sure they're clean enough to, be on display. Yeah, bro, that was totally a strategic play.
So, funny story. So I was thinking about it. I'm like, wait till I get my Lambo. I'm going to roll up on Josh, too.
And stick it right next to his ass.
Stick it right next to him.
With that right on the fucking hood.
Exactly.
And you know what I'd do is I'd walk out there, I'd take the picture and go, this is fucking dope. Mm-hmm. Well done. Let me tell you about these cars. A lot of people think that they're a lot harder to obtain than they are. When I learned how easy they were to get,
You finance or you paid it cash?
I always finance. I between all the shit I just lined up, I was actually thinking about it before I came here. It's got to be $1 million, at least what I paid worth of stuff. Think what an idiot I'd be to have that sitting in depreciating assets instead of appreciating real estate that pays for it.
Yeah.
So I made a commitment. I don't know if my payments even add up to this. I haven't done the math. That $10,000 a month will go towards cool cars as long as I can afford it. So, so I have $1 million in branding power, functionality, fun, and the little Josh that was a kid always wanted for 10 grand a month. Why would I ever pay cash for it? And that's not even a bragging right. I would never encourage anybody to.
You're just leveraging out your money and with tax deductions.
All that too.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah. Okay, let me tell you how to go get it. So you should go down to Vegas Auto Gallery. Those are my homies down there.
I actually have an allocation. It should be in next month.
How much and for what?
So basically, I bought a Huracan Technica.
Yep.
And I'm paying about $350,000. Took me.
See, that's the watch thing. I can't get there. But
it
go ahead.
literally took me 18 months just to get the allocation, and this is during like all that COVID shit. And one day they just called me and was like, "Hey man, if you want it, we got this allocation. Come on down." So it's been in production now for about almost 9 months. It's on the barge right now, on the way here. So they said I should be able to get it next month on the 3rd.
How are you going to buy it?
I'm not too sure yet. I might take out my life insurance policy, so that way I could leverage that out.
You just borrow against it, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And I'm just only paying myself 3% back, and I still have that whole life insurance policy. The other thing was maybe I could just pay cash for it, because I was thinking about this. I was just going to take that and just write off the whole $350,000. Probably own the car. Hold on. Own the car for about a year, maybe 2 years. And I think I might just sell it. And will I take a loss? Oh, I'll probably take about a $75,000 loss. But, you know, it's just probably on one of those things. It's, you know, I checked it off on the books.
But the branding power will pay you back.
Exactly.
Bro, it was crazy.
But,
it was an experiment when I bought my Lambo.
But that's where I was kind of fighting back and forth. Should I just
Let me give you your third option.
Yeah.
Okay. Woodside financing. Okay. Just remember wood.
Okay.
Financing. Woodside, however good your memory is. Woodside financing. Google that shit. 10-year financing. They'll have you put down 10 to 20%, and they stretch it over 10 years.
Okay.
10-year. Here's how I look at supercars in the world of an entrepreneur. You know, you may have a $10,000 a month in January.
Yeah.
You may have a $125,000 a month in February. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I want my cash flow controlled and very low at all times in case shit gets scary, right?
Yeah.
I'm okay if on the way in I got to drop 60, and on the way out I got to pay 30 to get out of it. I'm cool with that because I'll have those crazy months and I'll time it to have it land on those crazy months. You know, my ambitions will grow when I got $100,000 a month. My ambitions will be low when I have a $10,000 a month. So on the $100,000 a month, I walk back down to Vegas Auto Gallery, go, I want that newer Lambo. What are you going to give me? Oh, you're backwards 30 grand. Here's 30. How much on this one? Here's this. And I walk out the door. But in the meantime, there was zero stress to own it because I'll tell you, my payment on my Lambo is like $1,800 a month.
Which is not that bad.
Bro, it's nothing. You can't get it. A Range Rover is $2,500 a month.
Well, let me ask you this.
My McLaren, $1,600 a month.
What's your rate when you got it?
8%.
That's actually not that bad.
No. That's what I'm saying. Woodside, when people understand how to do it, that's why I'm always saying.
But here's the thing. The way I was brought up was, you got to understand, we didn't have anything. Okay? Family's just dead broke, living low income housing. And when you live like that, your mindset is scarcity.
Sure.
And you always hoard.
Yeah.
Right? And families like that always think about, hey, if you can get something like that, always pay for cash because you own it outright. Which is, I understand how money works because I'm constantly calculating, how do I leverage out my money? How do I take this dollar and stretch it out even further as I can? Which is, I understand both sides. So I can see it. However, I haven't made that decision yet. But I know that the right way to do it is to do the financing. But like I mentioned before, that's why I said that I may just take the money out of my insurance policy because I have an insurance policy for $500,000. You know, I'm only paying 3 to 4% on it, but
that's actually a genius way because you could set your own terms too, right?
Exactly,
when you pay back.
And it's fully so that once you pull out that 500, you still have that 500 in there, but you just got to pay that 3% until you put all the money back in, and it's tax deductible. and I'm still writing it off anyway. So that's probably the route that I'm going to go.
That may top the advice I would give people. They have it in place.
Yeah.
But you've had to build that value in that insurance policy.
No, my insurance policy was for $300,000. So
give me a little education.
So basically, what I did was
I don't have any of this.
So what I'm doing is I have a life insurance policy for $300,000. Let's just say I'm giving them $300,000 up front.
Okay? You've already done that, or you will have to do this to pull this off?
Because it takes about 28 days a season to pull the money out.
Okay.
I give them the $300,000. Now I can borrow against that money. So my life insurance policy will be for $300,000.
Got it.
So now if I take out the $300,000, I can take it out, but now I have to pay myself 3%. But now I'm taking that money, buying a car cash.
So the hiccup is still you have to outlay the cash.
Yeah, but it's only at 3% versus at 8%.
Oh, sure. But it's your cash.
It doesn't matter because once
versus the bank's cash at 8%.
Yeah, exactly. But once I put all that money back in, I still have a whole life insurance policy.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now I'm only paying 3%. However, if I sell the car, let's just say some of these cars do appreciate in value.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
Sure.
The market has softened a little bit. Just take that money, just throw it back in the life insurance policy. But it's something that I can always borrow against it for 3%. So it's just basic on moving money from one spot.
Because you can access the money.
Yes, anytime. So it's just like, let's just say if I put $500,000, I want to buy real estate. Now instead of paying 8% interest rate, I'm only paying 3%. So now my cash flow is probably going to be a little bit higher, obviously. My rate of return with inflation, instead of making 4% on this, now I'm probably making 8% because my margins are even better.
So I'm going to challenge you, this isn't my natural character.
Please do.
Only because
there's not
I think
a right way or a wrong way.
No, there's not.
The only thing is you're tying up your money. Once it's tied up, it's tied up.
I'll give you another nugget. So St. Joe, Missouri.
Okay.
I've got about 45 homes out there. I have about 45 here, 45 there. And doors. Mm-hmm. I just bought a duplex for $140,000, and each side is rented for $895. So that brings in, let's just call it $1,800. Let's call it $1,700 to be modest. Property taxes are nothing, $12 a month. No natural disasters. And that's something to be conscious of if you go and invest in the Midwest. Everybody's like, oh, I bought this house for $40,000, but your insurance. Where'd you say this was?
I'm sorry.
St. Joseph.
St. Joseph?
Missouri. It's 25 minutes from Kansas City, Missouri. The city of Kansas City. You know what I'm saying? You can get weird out there because there's a state and whatever. But it's in the state of Missouri. And this thing is beautiful. Out here, bro, you'd be like, that's a $400,000 duplex. So it's not like I'm buying a piece of shit. And it's not like it's, anyway. So you take that same 300. Let's say you identify two of those opportunities, and this isn't like I ripped it from some wholesaler. Yeah. I bought it right off the MLS. Okay, you go buy two of those for $300,000. That brings you in almost, let's call it $3,500 in net income, and then that pays the debt service on whatever loan you take out on that car, and then you also have now you have double the tax advantages, and the rental income is paying down the note on your car.
No, I got it, and that makes sense.
I'm sure you understood that.
Yeah,
and honestly, that was a nugget for the camera. I'm not trying to tell you how to do your business.
It's the same thing. It's like when the first 6 Series BMW came out. All right, now we're just getting started. This is probably like 2009, 2010 at this point. I was probably into it for 1 or 2 years. I wanted the 6 Series so fucking bad, dude. And
it's a dope car.
No, this is back then when the car first came out. It was fucking sick. It was an M3. And back then, I think it was $120,000. So I'm looking at this car, I'm fucking test driving it. I already had a BMW. I had this sales guy slap on my fucking rims on this car, driving. My wife was like, I fucking love this car. I was like,
now you got that too.
So I'm like, okay, let me get this thing. So I realized, like, wait, I'm spending $120,000 for this car, right? I could pay cash, or I could finance it. And at that time, it was like probably like $900 a month, okay, to finance it. And I realized, like, maybe I shouldn't buy this fucking thing. So I bought a home downtown for, I think it was $18,000.
What year is this?
This is during the crash. It was probably like 2010, 2011.
I love it. Okay.
And I bought it for $18,000.
Yep.
But it needed like $60,000 of work.
Okay.
I had to do new sewage, new plumbing, new electrical. It was fucking everything. It was
a
nightmare.
Rebuild the whole house.
One of my first flips, and I thought I was going to go into this. And I was like, oh my God, I couldn't I couldn't believe how bad this home was. But it was the best learning experience ever.
Oh, you learned everything. You learned everything on one house.
And this is the time when I don't know if you heard about this company. It's called I think it was called like Nouveriche Real Estate or something like that. It was like a coaching program.
Okay.
Where they were pitching it across the Las Vegas Valley. It was like a fucking pyramid scheme. And basically, people were spending like $40,000 to learn how to find deals and flip deals. And I was like, fuck that. I would just rather just learn on my own with my own money.
Right.
And this was the best thing ever. But anyway, I was all into it for about $80,000, and I'm renting it out for, it was like $1,200 a month. Then I took that money. Then I was like, okay, now I'm going to go get this BMW.
I love it.
But then when I went over there, I was looking at the 6 Series. I was like, you know what? I'm going to up my game, and I got a 750 BMW instead.
Love it.
With all the bells and whistles, and that was like 150 at that time. So I just leased that, but I used that money
to pay the lease on that one.
Okay.
Bro, think of the punch you just hit the world with that car.
Yeah.
That time to rock that car.
Like, you were the man.
You were the man.
I looked at that car. I was like, oh my God, I don't even know how I can afford this, but I want this car. Because, you know, what guy doesn't love cars?
Sure.
And a car actually reflects your status and who you are in this world, believe it or not.
Unfortunately, but fortunately.
Okay? No matter if it's positive or negative, somebody's talking about you.
Yeah.
And that's all you need.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was a great story. You know, it was a good learning lesson for me. And ever since I did, you know, buy properties here and there, we managed to only get like 8 properties, but I did liquidate some of the properties to reposition my portfolio.
Yep.
And I feel like a lot of investors, they're like, don't sell. But sometimes I feel like when that time comes, sometimes it's better to sell to reposition to make more money.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just hard to let go. Like, trust me, I was like, dude, you know, I'm making like $8,000 a month. I'm like, is this the right move? But sometimes, like, hey man, if I can sell these properties and make, you know, 1.4 million and reposition and take that money and take it back out into the marketplace, then it makes
I think
sense.
in the early stages of the rental game,
it's very hard.
It's about repositioning. There was many homes that I would every 12 months when the lease was up, because I'm like, I'm either going to renovate it from the shitty tenant that destroyed it, or I can renovate it and maximize its value. And that was that moment I'd have that conversation with myself. And I split a lot to build my portfolio. You know,
and you got to do volume, because if you're just buying one making $200,
no.
Once a fucking tenant leaves, dude, you're done. There goes all your cash flow. You didn't make any cash flow.
Yep.
You've got 90 units pushing at $1,000 a piece, dude. Now you can literally sit dry because every month you're buying a brand new fucking property.
That's what my machine is at now.
It's literally like snowballing.
I actually have a list on my houses.
Yeah.
That I put the word free next to, because the cash flow bought that house. I didn't use ordinary income to buy that house.
Yeah.
The excess cash flow from my portfolio after my bills bought that house cash.
Yeah, but if you're just like, you know, trying to get a portfolio and you're buying one and you only have a certain dollar amount, dude, you're not going to get anywhere. You got to stack, buy to the point, then stack, and you got to accumulate and just constantly turn and burn, and that's where I'm at right now.
And I think it's more about having more cash flow per individual home than having a zillion homes with $200 a month in cash flow.
That doesn't make any sense.
I don't think it makes any sense. I think too much catastrophe can happen, and then your whole house of cards could come down.
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, I didn't have the ability to borrow. If I did, bro, I wouldn't even be sitting here. I'd be fucking on an island with my own house, because I had 2 short sales from the recession. So I was forced to buy cash. Thankfully, I learned how to make money, and thankfully I was buying at a time where you could buy, you know, as a house flipper, I was coming across, if ARV was a 175, I was buying it for 105.
Yeah.
You know, so I was able to buy a lot of them cash. And I found that system worked better for me, because it's like I have 30 homes, this was at one time, all cash. I'm making 30 grand a month, call it, versus having to have 90 homes or 100 homes to make 20,000 a month. The over leverage thing I've never believed in.
Yeah, and I feel like you always have to look at your portfolio like every year and just like reposition.
You do.
You may have some properties that are going to be like $350,000 of equity, but you're only making, you know, $12,000, you know, a year. I mean, just to get that $350,000, I mean, you're going to have to own that property for the next like 30 years just to get that $350,000 versus leveraging that $350,000. and possibly liquidating it, repositioning into a 1031 exchange, or moving into a different asset class. I don't know.
Let me
But
add to your.
I always look at those kind of things, you know.
Let me add to your statement. As your portfolio grows and your cash flow grows, it's much easier to get loans.
Yeah.
Instead of selling now, once your portfolio grows, you and grow it like you're describing. Everything I'm hearing is exactly the journey I took. Repositioning, playing Monopoly, basically. You know. But once you build enough cash flow and you can borrow easily, then you go and leverage this house up to the max. If you have that equity, instead of selling, you pull equity from it and then go buy another house cash. Because now this house is cash. So the debt service on this box is paying, the rent is paying the debt service on this house, and then this is replacing the debt service that you lost, plus hopefully more. And then that's the game you start playing. But until you can borrow freely, then that's really tough to do.
Yeah.
Because you have to borrow a lot of money.
Yeah, because this is where I'm at right now. Like, I'm literally debt free. I do still have some properties that, you know, pay for a mortgage and all that stuff. Mortgage is very low, and I'm just heavy on cash right now. I'm very heavy on cash. I'm just kind of sitting
Very
tight.
safe, comfortable space to be in.
No, it is. Honestly, I'm very blessed. I'm aware of it. There's not a day that doesn't go by where I look at my bank account and I'm like, I'm fucking motivated, right? But you know, I'm just waiting. But there's times where.
What are you waiting for?
Opportunity.
Is there not a market collapse? You're saying
No.
One house pops up that's a killer deal.
Yeah,
or one.
So like I'm not a guy that flips properties, right? But you know, through our social media marketing, I found a 3,100 square foot home, 6 bedrooms, bedroom downstairs, 3 bathrooms, 3-car garage in Henderson with a pool. I was able to acquire for $300,000.
$100 a foot. That's fucking 2010 pricing.
It was a fucking home run, dude. On this one, we spent like 150 on the rehab, and we just got it under contract for $705.
I was gonna say 725. Good for you.
Yeah, so it was really good. So those are the kind of opportunities I'm looking for. I'm not really looking for like, you know, $20,000 deals. I'm not in your lane. I'm not doing those volumes. I'm a real estate agent. I run a business. That's my lane. Because, you know, I could do one deal, make $20,000. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I mean, just opportunities like that, man. You know
There's 2 ways to live. You either have cash or you have cash flow.
Yeah.
It's just you don't want to be in between. With no cash flow or
now,
cash.
I understand that, you know, I'm losing, you know, money towards inflation. So that's the downfall.
I don't get that. I feel like you're splitting hairs when you start playing that game. I get it, but
you do, because I'm going to be straight up, man. I have, you know, a few million in the bank, but when you're losing $180,000 a year towards inflation, you got to put that money somewhere.
Do you have it in treasury or
No,
money markets?
It's just in one of my accounts.
Why don't you have it in a money market? 5 or 6%. You'll be countering that.
I don't want to play that. Here's why. Because I'm just countering it, but then my money's tied up.
Only if it's a CD. Go and look at a money market.
I want to be in a position where something comes up, I can fire. And that's all I want to do. However, the end goal is to obviously own multiple units, which is I've got really curious with the multifamily. You know, I want to do like 40 to 100 units, which is I went out to Wichita, Kansas, right? And believe it or not, there's some really good deals out there. But it only makes sense if I get 40 units or above.
Interesting.
Because obviously I'm not there to manage it. So the cash flow has to come in where it makes sense, but also pay everybody. And, you know, obviously because it's, you know, 4-hour flight or whatever it is. So that's kind of like the end goal for me right now. You know what I mean? But, yeah, that's where I'm at.
It's awesome.
But, I mean, these things take time. Again, you know, you're doing your own thing. I'm doing my own thing. And everybody has, you know, their own path.
It's working beautifully for you.
You know, I don't want to say that because sometimes you're like, I know I could do more.
Yeah, but
how do I do more? It's
I think
constantly more.
Yeah, but tell me that you don't just have the devil and the angel on your shoulder. The devil's probably speaking louder to you all the time, saying you got to push harder, you got to get more, you don't have enough. But you have to have, I call it the sobering effect, where the angel chimes in just to create some peace in the body.
That
and goes,
only lasts for a while, dude.
It should. I think if this guy's overwhelming, then you got a problem. I think this guy should be the dominant character, the devil side of it. But to me, I have to, because I often have that same energy. I'm pushing any more. I need to push harder. But I have to also find solace in looking over at this one and going, Josh, you're going to be just fine, and you know it. Just so I have a moment of relief. Because if I live in this space too hard, too long, it's not good for me or my health or anything.
No, it's not. But I think a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, they actually go through this battle. You know what I'm saying? It's not even about the money anymore. The money is just kind of like the point system when you look at your account. It's like, can I do better? Because I don't sit there and really like, oh, I have this money. Like, I don't care. For me, it's just a game. And the game is, how do I get better? How do I double it?
But tell me the game's against you.
It's against myself.
It's nobody else. Because if you were trying to beat everybody else, you've won by miles.
Yeah.
Just hearing that one stat, the two stats, cash in the bank and your production, you've already smoked 90%. If it was about beating somebody else, but you're running a useless race. But it's always about yourself.
Funny story is, like, I always complain to my wife, like, yo, I want to do big, better. She's like, what are you talking about? I remember when you first started,
right,
and you're like, as long as you can just make a living at selling real estate. Then it was $10,000 a month. Then it was $50,000 a month. You're making over $100,000 a month. Like, what are you complaining about? But it's more internally.
Of course.
Because you know yourself that, hey, you can take it to the next level. You know it's achievable. Because that's the hard part, is making the first $5,000. Then once you get there, you're like, oh, I can make $5,000 a month. Then now you make $10,000. Now you're starting to believe in yourself, like, whoa, this could actually work. And you start to build that confidence. But it does come to a point where you start to kind of plateau a little bit.
It just gets harder.
Yes, it gets harder.
It's much easier to earn 100% return on investment with a penny.
Yeah. But the funny story is
it's a lot harder to do it with big money.
My first million, and I'm not just talking about where you made your first million, where you actually have $1 million in your account. That was the hardest million. But the second million was the easiest million. I couldn't believe it.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, then the third is like, okay, yo, this is achievable. But now it's like, how do I make like $5 million a year?
Yeah.
So that's like a whole nother level. And I have friends that, you know, make like $3 million a month, you know.
Holy shit.
Like incredible money. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, how the fuck did you get into this idea?
Right.
Right? I'm talking about like with video games and shit. I'm like, how the hell did you tap into this market? It's just unbelievable.
There's so many ways to make money out there.
Crazy.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here like, dude, I'm working my fucking ass off. This guy's playing video games. Well, obviously he's working. He's putting systems in place, but, you know.
I have that same thing. I never veer from my lane, though, because it's easy to look to the right and left and do the same thing. I'm a boring-ass house flipper.
And you know what? I've done that before, and I realize I've lost a lot of money. And matter of fact, we actually sold you a couple flip properties, by the way.
Thank you.
I remember one of these deals where I was like, you know what, I'm going to take it on myself. And we started flipping this home. And this is where I actually got involved myself, where I was the, you know, contractor, getting everybody on board. And I was like, okay, I made $80,000 here, but I lost $80,000 here. And I realized, like, what the fuck am I doing?
What am I doing? Yeah.
So I literally said, hey, you know what? On my next flip, this is what I'm going to do. Just stay in my lane. So this deal, I acquired it for $300,000. I brought in another contractor. I said, you pay for all the materials and supplies. You pay for your time.
I'll write you the check.
And I'll give you half of the commission. He goes, what? I said, yes. So it was a fair deal.
Yeah.
So I've only been to the house like 3 or 4 times, but now we're about to cash on this home. So I'll probably make about like 136, 140, whatever it is. But I realized time is money. And I just stayed in my lane, and I just focused on this, and I'm constantly making money here because this is what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And all this is just extra money, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's spending money, but it's just, you know, extra money.
Yeah, it's cream.
And that's what I love about money, because you can literally leverage out your money to make more money if you apply it the right ways.
Those are the tools that people have to learn.
Yeah.
Chakits, I feel like if we don't wrap it up, we'll keep going. How far are we into this?
Oh, we're done already?
An hour.
Only an hour?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it?
I thought it was longer than that.
Well, this is before we reset when we turned off the computer.
Okay.
So that was probably like 15 minutes.
Chakits, what do you mentioned your wife? Any kids?
I have a stepdaughter. Raised her since she was 3. Now she's 26.
Good for you.
She's out of the house. She's doing her own thing. One of the things that we really taught her is about financing and how money works. So she's very good at that. She's got good credit. She's like, on point with
Good
everything.
For you got to be proud of that.
Oh yeah, and that was the only thing that I wanted for her. Like I don't care what type of job she does or whatever she does, because at the end of the day, obviously, you know, something happens with me or her mom, she gets a piece of it. I want to make sure she understands how to control and navigates these assets and the money. I just don't want her to be like some trust kid that just spends the money. So she's like really on point with that. Obviously taking care of nieces and nephews, but right now it's just me and my wife. So
you're done. You've done your. Do you feel like you're done, or do you think that there's?
You know what? I'm very selfish, and I'm a big kid myself. And I always tell my wife this. I always tell her that I'm a 15-year-old kid in a man's body, and she's like, "You're fucking gross." But that's how I feel. Like, you know, I feel young, and like I want to be nimble. Like I want to pivot on a dime. Like I don't want to be stuck.
You can't do that. Yeah. You know that.
But here's the thing, though. You love your kids, you're going to go through the whole phase, but what I realize is that, you know, you're going to come to a point in your life where you're like, okay, you guys are ready, go, do your thing. As long as you're taken care of, you understand how everything works, and at that point, you can just live your life between you and your wife.
Well, good for you.
So
that's a beautiful thing to hear.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, man. I just want to be to the point where I can move, pivot.
Sounds like you're building your life to do all that. It's power in every spot that you've mentioned today.
Yeah.
Power and leverage.
But you know what? Don't get me wrong. There's times where I'm like, maybe I do want to have a kid. But wife is like, hey, why don't you start off with a puppy? But then I realize, you know what? I don't even have time for a dog.
No.
I really don't.
I think dogs are more time than kids, man. You can't take them anywhere. You got to, no way.
So.
Well, this has been a treat. Beautiful watch. Great story. Great business insight for everybody listening. And thank you so much for being here.
Well, I appreciate you.
Intro.
Okay.
It's just that camera right there.
Let's see.
Too many topics.
I know, that's a lot.
Wrap up his socials. If you want
Oh,
to
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to have to cut that up. Are we still recording?
Yep.
So cut this up appropriately.
Okay.
Cut this up appropriately. Cut this up appropriately, just so they don't miss that. Chakits, tell us where we can find you so that everybody can go and follow you for more of these nuggets that and the education part of teaching the world about real estate.
Okay, so if you guys are interested in purchasing a home or selling a home, you can just type on YouTube, right? Chakits Krulsawat, which is Chakits. Last name Krulsawat. Or in the search engine, just go ahead and type up homes for sale in Las Vegas. We have over 2,200 videos, so we should pop up on the algorithm. And you can just find us on Instagram again, Chakits, and that's where you can get all the information you need.
I love it. Beautiful. All right. Thanks for being here.
Cool.
Hey guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you guys want to learn more about the tools, tips, and tricks that I use on a daily basis to maintain my success, stay connected with me through all of my socials at I am Josh Galindo.